What have you done? You maniacs!
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've just been informed that America is great again. Welcome to the Frustrated Grad podcast. I'm your host, Zach Hughes. I can't even say I'm the black dude with bad news because I think everybody got some bad news this week.
What more bad news could you have?
Yeah. So welcoming my co-host, writer Tony Hoffman.
Why did I even get out of bed today?
I mean, you know, for the purposes of this podcast, you didn't even need to.
That is true.
But
you got me there.
Yeah. So, how was your?
I'm trying to set the tone for how
exactly.
My week was not good. It was one of the weirdest, most surreal weeks ever. I mean, that whole Tuesday night into Wednesday, like that Wednesday, man. Like being out on the train going to work and even being at work, it was just so, it was so surreal. The whole mood at work was very eerie. The morale was low. People, it took a while before people, started to loosen up and, talk a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to listen. When I was on the train, I just put my headset on and just listened to Spotify. And I didn't even want to hear people's conversations.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know,
you've been living under a rock.
Yeah.
On top of another rock.
On Tuesday was election night. Everybody went out and voted in America, and we received the news that our new president will be Donald Trump.
Yeah. Despite more people voting for Hillary Clinton overall.
Well, you know.
That Electoral College.
We have to accept the Electoral College. It's happened in our recent history. Obviously, we saw with Bush and Gore that you can win the popular vote, but if you don't get those people voting in the right places that have more electoral votes.
Do you think that they should just take away, like in Florida, should just have like one and like Mississippi should have like 0 and it should all be like ranked according to like the collective intelligence, like IQ of the whole population of the states, how many electoral votes you get.
Well, I guess that would be the reverse of an idiocracy. But I think the point is to be somewhat fairly representative of the population, but really it's an outdated system.
Because like in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, like all the major metropolitan areas, like they all voted Democrat for Hillary, like any intelligent, sane person would do. But you look at most of middle America in the South and in the rural areas, they all voted for Trump. So what is and I'm not saying that those people are stupid, but I kind of am. But
the problem is Trump managed to peel off some voters, even from some of those traditionally Democratic places. Like he got a fair amount of Latino voters.
Latino heat, if you will.
Yeah, he got the majority of white women.
There's white women and white men. What is that?
Yeah.
What does that tell you?
Yeah, so there's some unity in that sense, I guess.
Those emails, man, those emails are just they're so horrible, man. We could never have somebody president with those emails. I mean, just the most despicable thing you could ever do to a person.
Yeah, the problem is that you typed it out on a computer and then you deleted it. If you just said whatever it was out loud on a hot mic, then it'd be all right.
Yeah.
I mean, because all those emails were about grabbing pussy, but in email form, it's despicable.
Yeah.
You just got to say it out loud, Yeah.
I mean, it's not nearly as bad as bankrupting companies and stealing from charities and sexually assaulting women and being racist and
But wait a minute.
Housing discrimination.
But wait a minute. Hillary stole from charities. She accepted money from foreign governments. Unlike when Donald Trump accepted money from Gaddafi to stay at a hotel, and he used that money to give to a charity. That what he did was completely different. In accepting money directly to a charity from a foreign government, that's bad.
Yeah, but whatever, it all ends up back to where we are, Zach. How was your week? I should have asked you that.
It was very similar. Actually, one thing that made it a little bit stranger is that I had to go and do jury duty immediately after Election Day, like the next day. So that was odd. And
you got selected for jury duty, or was it the selection standby thing?
It was standby thing. So they just asked people questions, and they decided whether or not they wanted us, and they didn't want me. So thank God.
You told them that you were a Jill Stein supporter.
Yeah, exactly. No, I actually told them I supported Gary Johnson, and I wanted to abolish driver's licenses.
Yeah, and you have no idea where was it a dopo or wherever that was? He didn't know what the country was, or
he couldn't identify one world leader. I think that was one of his foibles.
Yeah, I don't think he could identify much.
That's always interesting to see, like in the election returns, where you see Gary Johnson is like has like 1 or 2% in certain areas. I'm like, wow, he's still plugging away.
Yeah, I think like in Florida, I think it was like Jill Stein had like over like 200,000 or something like that, which definitely could have played a role in, votes being split.
Yeah, because that was the thing. They said that the protest vote was the thing that lost Florida for Hillary, because there was like over 200,000, I guess they said, as far as protest votes, and that's mixed in with people who wrote in stuff like Bernie Sanders or SpongeBob or D's Nuts. So
Harambe and all that bullshit.
Yeah, so people who went out and did that might as well have not voted, like Colin Kaepernick.
Did you see that? That kind of, I was on his side and everything, and then he announced that he didn't even vote, and it's like, okay, you're not trying to do this for equality and for black people. You appear to be pretty stupid.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, you can't complain about anything.
Yep.
In this government because you didn't participate. So
yeah, something that black people got themselves killed for to have the right to do.
Yeah. Yeah, but some people have that luxury.
Stupid.
But even I guess even more to pile on top of the division that was shown with the Trump election was the tweet storm and Facebook storm of people on both sides. How many online arguments did you get into this week?
Oh, Jesus. That the day after, when it happened, I stayed off Twitter and Facebook.
I noticed. 2 days. I was like, wow.
For 2 friggin' days, because I just couldn't deal with that stuff. I didn't want to see the Trump people gloating. I didn't want to see the the depressed. I saw some of the the depressed Hillary supporters that were this is terrible. I feel sorry for all of my LGBT people and women and stuff. And I was like,
yeah,
I just don't. I know that the 2 guys from Silicon. Do you watch Silicon Valley?
Yeah, I saw something online that said they got harassed.
Yeah, Thomas Middleditch and Kumail Nanjiani. They were at some bar, and some fan, I guess, came up to them and said, that he liked their show, and it was I guess at some point, he mentioned that he was a Trump supporter, and then he called the 2 of them. What's the term? Cucks? C-U-C-K?
Cucks. Yeah, that's a very popular term. It seems like in the white community. It comes from the phrase well, from the word cuckold.
Cuckold.
Yeah, means a guy who likes to watch somebody else have sex with their spouse. So it's very weird that it is started to catch on as being a popular insult among men. But
yeah, did you have? I didn't really have any arguments with anyone on social media, but I just didn't have the patience for it. I couldn't deal with that shit.
I mean, I had a couple of rants and some
I just
replies.
Retweeted stuff.
Yeah, I had some replies where I typed a little bit more than I should have. In hindsight, I would save that finger strain for more productive means. I could have written a novel with all of the comments that I've typed. There's been a lot of back and forth strain from the people who were gloating, from the people who were depressed, from the people saying I knew it all along. And,
you didn't know shit.
Yeah.
Nostradamus apparently predicted the Trump victory. He said that
the skies would turn orange or something.
What was tan orange. Nostradamus predicted that it would not only that he would win, but it would predict the end of the world. There are two different predictions which refer to a great, shameless, audacious brawler taking control of the army and a breakout of nuclear combat. So all the way back in the 16th century.
You know about nuclear war? That's pretty impressive.
According to this article I'm reading.
I think that there's been a lot of people who've predicted. I think The Simpsons had stuff about President Trump.
Yeah.
South Park currently was doing their whole thing, and they had to rewrite an episode where
it was just funny.
Mr. Garrison, as the stand-in for Trump, basically wins the election.
Fucking Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah, say it right.
Well, don't offend anyone.
But you can become president with language like that, so don't worry about it.
I don't even need any government or military experience, apparently.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people have had their explanations of how it happened and why we are in this position. It's
those emails, man. Those emails.
It's because because of a few things, obviously.
Sexism,
racism. It was kind of the perfect storm of isms. You have self-loathing women. You have a couple of there's
minorities.
Non-white. Yeah, minorities who are. I don't know. I don't want to say they're drinking the Kool-Aid because that would sound racist. But
Uncle Tom.
yeah.
I'll say it.
I'll go with that. But I would say that there's a thing that I heard about recently. I can't remember who talked about it, but there's a phenomenon in America where immigrants from certain cultures have turned, and once they become Americanized and once they assimilate, they become more.
They do things they think is stereotypically American.
Yeah, and they become more racist against the newer group of immigrants that come after them. So So I think that was at play to some extent because, you would think because of the large Hispanic population in Florida that they would vote against Trump because it was kind of his main calling card is build the wall. But then in one of my many posts this week, I just posted, I was I think Cubans voted against Mexicans because it's you peeled off some of those Hispanic people, but there were people who obviously felt well, he's not talking about me, so maybe Puerto Rican people and Cubans were we can't build a wall all around Florida. We're just gonna float around somewhere.
There are Latin immigrants that are here in America that are citizens that are against illegal immigrants that are coming from Mexico, and Cuba the illegally they're against that. So I could definitely see them being in favor of building a wall and all that rhetoric, all the Trump stuff. I just think that he just won this because people are just really stupid and uninformed.
Absolutely. And I think that people are underselling, like, a lot of, like,
he tells it like it is.
That, and I think a lot of people are underselling the value of a name. Like, even if somebody out there had not seen the news, didn't know about all, like, the controversy and all the hate surrounding both these candidates, they would look and be like, holy shit, Donald Trump is running for president? Exactly. I vote for that guy.
Yeah, I know him. Yeah, he's a businessman.
Yeah, because that was
businessmen are smart.
Yeah, because that was the thing I was talking about in previous podcasts where I said, like, win or lose, and now we know he won. He has broken a barrier that I don't think anybody thought necessarily needed to be broken, but he basically
You do not have to be
qualified. You don't have to have run for any elected office or even considered it before.
Been in the military.
You don't need any of the what we would have previously thought of as.
You don't have to be qualified.
Yeah, pre-established qualifications. All you need to do is be over 35 and have an opinion that you can shout loud enough for enough people. And
lots of money.
Yeah,
of course.
Lots of money. That's what I was saying. Like, this has probably broken the barrier for all of those Hollywood activists.
Not for the better. Not for the better.
It's not for the better, but I'm hoping that this inspires somebody who has better ideas and is also allowed to
if they're still in
step
America.
Into the ring. Yeah, because there's a lot of that, and you know, you hear that every year, but I think a decent number of people are going to follow through with that this time.
Yeah, Trump. I'm just worried about the first time Trump has to make, you know, he's like dealing with like some other, you know, government leader, and
diplomacy is not really his strong suit.
Exactly. He reaches a deal to like give, you know, like half of our, like, you know, army reserve or whatever to like China or like North Korea,
China,
Russia.
I suspect that China and Russia are at the top of the list. Congratulations, President Putin, by the way.
President Putin.
Yeah, I would say he's the VVP of the United States at this point.
But yeah.
Yeah, but I think name recognition goes a long way. So I feel like anybody in Hollywood who are undoubtedly listening to this right now, if you you have a more recognizable name than Donald Trump, I mean, it's kind of hard because his name is plastered on buildings across the world. But somebody like George Clooney, Angelina Jolie, if you really feel like giving it a shot, you could win.
I think that Donald Trump is in just for a rude awakening when it comes to like what a president actually does and what the job actually entails.
Absolutely.
And like the waking hours and just
yeah, and that's the thing with, I think
that hair is going to be a lot grayer and thinner.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, I don't know if it's because of naivete or just it's part of the game, but there's so many promises that get made, even from seasoned politicians, people who've been in Congress for years and they run for president. They make promises they know.
Wall, people.
Yeah, they make promises they know they can't fulfill. Trump, I think, on the other side of that,
no
probably
Muslims will be shipped out.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. I think he just said whatever he could to rile these people up. He played into their fears and their angers and like stoked that fire. But I suspect to some extent, I think you have to have some of that in your heart anyway. But I think he played this kind of like how good wrestling characters play their roles, like
the heel.
Yeah, he played heel, but he took aspects of his own personality and things that he believes to some extent or things that he could relate to, and he turned it up to 11 to match the fury and the anger of his supporters. So I think a lot of this was a show.
Yeah, and I started to feel better as the week, like each day I started to feel better and better about the situation. Like nothing is pretty much going to get done. Bill Burr, the comedian was on Conan, and he pretty much said that like nothing is going to get done. Basically, like.
Because the thing is, based on how government works, there's a system of checks and balances. It gets a little bit funnier when everybody's in one party basically at this point. But how it's supposed to work is that there's a push and pull, so that the president can't just make a decision and have it put into law the next day. People have to debate it, discuss it, vote on it. They vote it down, send it back to him. He tries to adjust, and if
some of these things actually, get passed into law and it hurts the country, and voters will vote out those politicians.
Yeah. So we have a process that keeps things somewhat stable in that
kind of, sort of.
You can't throw the country in a tailspin as fast as you would like.
Did you see Saturday Night Live last night?
Yes. And like outside of it being this like crazy time where America needed someone to chill us out, I was just generally excited for Dave Chappelle returning to television in any form, especially in sketch comedy. So it was like the biggest thing for me, because a lot of people, and I posted this yesterday, a lot of people are too cool for Saturday Night Live. They always want to complain about, okay, this
Saturday
era was better. Yeah, Saturday Night Live.
People still watch that.
Yeah, so people complain about it every year and say whatever pick your cast was better than this
show hasn't
one.
Been good since Phil Hartman.
Yeah, but I don't care. I've been watching it since I could understand what words were. They've watched basically every episode that's come on since I've been alive, and I'm always excited for it. I feel like it's just
your parents didn't care about
censorship or anything. I mean, I had a TV in my
I was
room,
in the same
so it was all about me. It was however I felt. Maybe some of those episodes I fell asleep during because I was a little kid who was supposed to be in bed, but whatever.
What's a church lady?
Yeah. So I'm always excited for it, and I love Dave Chappelle, so it was like a dream come true
Perfect
for me.
Storm.
Yeah,
I saw it this morning, and that monologue will probably be, would you say, like the top 5 of all time? Or?
Yeah, it's gonna be on one of those compilations, because they update them every year, like best of Saturday Night Live, the 2000s, the 90s, the 2010s. So this is gonna be one of those that they put on those compilations, because
it was like what SNL should be. It was funny.
Yeah.
It was dangerous. It had your attention. You didn't know what was going to happen. Like, that's what like live TV and Saturday Night Live should be.
Yeah, it was topical. It was edgy. It was everything that we needed right now.
It wasn't like the host is taking questions or doing like the musical monologue.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the old standby is like, we don't have any ideas for this person, and they have minimal talents, so let's write a little song. So I love that, because like from when it was announced, like, okay, Chappelle's gonna do an incredible monologue, it's stand up, so it's just gonna be like
what
we've been waiting for.
Time.
Yeah, it's one of those. I think even outside of just Saturday Night Live, it was like a moment we needed in the culture, period. Like there's those
a pop culture zeitgeisty.
Yeah, there was those periods of time like where there's specific people to call for peace after incidents like JFK's assassination and Martin Luther King's assassination. There were those people who stood up and was like, okay, everybody calm down, and they give a
Jon
rousing
Stewart
speech.
used to be that guy, kind of.
Yeah. So it's like that void was kind of felt, I think, it's probably the biggest time where we were like, who is that voice we go to? Like, I watched all the monologues from different hosts and after the fact, and I felt like, oddly enough, somebody who I sold kind of short is like a newer talk show host. I feel like one of the people
Letterman used to be that guy.
Yeah, I was never really a Letterman guy, but I feel like,
but whenever like a major news story or some tragedy,
he had that respect where he could talk to America. But I felt like somebody who impressed me and I wasn't expecting to was like Seth Meyers.
I've heard he's been getting better and sharper with like the political.
Yeah, his kind of response to stuff, because he's found a way to like kind of do Weekend Update, but it's still like a different thing on his show. It's like it's still him sitting behind the desk and breaking
little picture box.
Yeah. So I felt like he had a good kind of monologue after the fact. And
did you see us? I guess Stephen Colbert did like a live show on the election on Showtime. And,
I only saw it like when they were posted stuff on YouTube after the fact. I didn't realize that was going on live.
It went from being funny to being like real serious, and not even he could be funny anymore.
Yeah, because like, how do you just riff on that? Because there's like these long periods of time, and we're gonna get back to SNL in a minute. But like watching the election, it was like I was watching the results on CNN. That's usually my go-to. I don't know if they're the best anymore or not, but that's my go-to. So
can't get enough of the lemon, huh?
Yeah, I'm a lemon party over here. So I watched the results on CNN, and I had my little Facebook stream open. I was watching people's responses, and I was watching the MSNBC like live election map, and they were always like ahead of CNN. Like the
NBC was always jumping the gun on everybody. Like, oh, like Trump has won this state. We're giving this to Trump.
They all seem to be right for the most part.
Yeah.
Because they had him at 244 for like
244 against 209.
Yeah, it was something like a
couple of hours.
Yeah, and then CNN still didn't have Trump at 244. They had him at whatever 230 something. So I was like, okay, maybe they're just jumping the gun on it. And I would see CNN finally call whatever state to make that difference. I was like, shit, you're right.
I just couldn't take it anymore. I think it was around midnight when it was still that count. I just went to sleep.
Yeah, because
I woke up at 2:30 and got that horrible news.
Yeah, because it was just like that sketch they did last night with them having the election party and watching. Is just like 2 hours later, like, well, that's where the racists are. So, like, yeah, they're all in Kentucky. Don't worry about it. Yeah, because she was just picking up all the little small states around like the East Coast area, all those little tiny states, Maine and
Rhode Island, Delaware.
And then I was like, when the hell is California closing? And then they finally closed the polls, and she got that West drop Coast, of 55 or whatever California has. But then it was like, and then they started to. It's funny just watching the anchors on CNN, because they were just like, well, I think she still has a path to victory if she wins this state, this state, this state. It's like,
exactly.
It's like, no, and it's the writing is starting to show. So it was funny because, like, at the beginning of the night, they were like, what is Donald Trump's path to victory? And then they were like, I think we need to start talking about what Hillary's path to victory is. It's not looking good. So it's funny, just like with that in everybody's heads, and everybody like feeling like aftershocks from it. Although it feels like it's everybody, but obviously it was only about half the country. That monologue from Chappelle was needed, and I feel like it just felt like a different
FCC violation.
Yeah, but it's like,
but it was worth it.
If it doesn't matter how our future president talks.
Shouldn't. Yeah, we're just leading by example.
Why should anybody care about TV? Like, I feel like even if they appeal it and it goes to the highest levels of like Supreme Court, Trump's probably gonna have a new justice on there. It's like, fuck it, just let it go. Cause like,
appropriately.
Yeah, because like, I don't think this is I think this might be a new moment in American history. This might be
we get to say whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, this might be the bluest period of our nation's
Ironically,
history. Yeah,
not red.
Yeah, not exactly.
Red. Did you see I know that you love the Chappelle,
the Walking Dead Chappelle show sketch. I loved it, and I loved the way that he threw to it, like he would do on Chappelle's show.
Yeah, exactly. That's all set up.
So I like that. It was. I'm assuming it's a send-off, but I think it was a funny and appropriate send-off for like Chappelle show characters, because I don't think we're probably gonna see those characters ever again.
Donnell Loggins, whatever his name is.
Donnell Rawlings. I was surprised that he was there as like the character from the Player Haters sketch and not as Ashy Larry, but it was really like Chappelle's. So classy. He was So it was really like a Chappelle all-star sketch. So I really liked it. I missed those characters, and it's just fun to see that again. Yeah, you know, I feel like there's another Charlie Murphy and Dave Chappelle collaboration in our future, hopefully.
In the cards.
Yeah.
I saw like the Kate McKinnon
the
Leonard Cohen tribute.
Yeah.
I saw the Chappelle stuff, but I didn't see Update and any of the musical performances.
Oh, you gotta watch.
Did I miss anything?
You gotta watch the Tribe Called Quest musical performances.
Did they do anything?
Yeah, both songs they performed were pretty politically charged, but they're good songs too. So that you should definitely check those out. Yeah, because I think it said in the commercial they showed during the show that this is their first new album they've put out in 18 years. So I think they said it's on Spotify now.
Was there any like contributions from the guy
Five Dog?
Yeah, who passed away.
I think on both the songs they performed, he had a verse. Well, he had like a shorter kind of bridge at the beginning of their second song, but he had a whole verse in the first song they performed, and they dropped down kind of this banner that had his face on. It's kind of like, it was kind of a graffiti type banner in the style of one of their earlier album covers. You know, had be those like painted African looking pictures. Mm-hmm. So it had his face on top of one of those. So they showed that during his verse, and he had a little bit on the second song. So you could tell they were all still working on stuff around the end. So
I will check that out.
Yeah,
I have a question of something Trump related, thankfully. You mentioned like your hamburger fetish a couple of episodes ago, your love of the burgers. McDonald's, they are introducing a new burger in Italy. If it's successful there, it'll come to America. Are you a big fan of Nutella, the chocolate spread?
I do like Nutella. I don't know how that relates to hamburgers,
but you like hamburgers.
Like to find out. Yeah, I used to.
You like you hamburgers plus Nutella? Do you think that would be a nice combo?
That does not compute. No.
They're introducing a Nutella burger in Italy. It's going to be on the menu. The Sweetie Con Nutella debuted via Facebook announcement. A soft sweetness has arrived that you will not be able to resist. Zach, did you hear that? You won't resist it. It's soft bread with a creamy, indulgent center.
I think what they meant to say is that you will not be able to stop tasting it because every time you swallow, it will come right back up.
Yeah.
That sounds gross.
Savor it. Yeah, it's chocolatey, and it's something that we probably need in this post-election world.
Yeah, I feel like in Trump's America, we're gonna be eating a lot more out of bowls and buckets, because our president loves a good taco bowl and a
KFC.
Yeah, and I feel like this is a good time for the Double Down to come back.
The Sadness Bowl, and what did Patton Oswalt, his comedy bit, he called it a bowl of sadness wrapped in something. Yeah. Basically, that was just a sad pile of just
a sandwich with chicken as your bread. I feel like it's a good time for that to come back. We'll probably see a return of the Angry Whopper. Just a lot of things, a lot of what I would call suicidal foods.
Supersize me.
Yeah.
Bring it back. I want it back, actually, but Trump or no Trump.
I'm surprised they stopped doing the supersize thing, but I mean, they still let you upgrade your meal to a large or whatever. But
like no one person was going to eat all those fries and that drink in one sitting. You could share it with a family.
Yeah, I feel like supersizing was like never my thing because I was never into like paying more money. So just like I'll get a medium, don't worry about it. Or if I hazard to eat inside a restaurant, I was like, no, I'm gonna get a small, and I'm just gonna refill this drink until you kick me out. That's how I roll.
I want my refills.
Yeah, my favorite thing about modern McDonald's is any size drink is $1. That's my favorite thing. Every restaurant should have that policy. Just give me the biggest cup you have, and don't ask any questions.
Exactly. You can't you can't fill. I mean, how much liquid can you put inside you?
Yeah, I aim to test that. But yeah, when I would commute between downtown and the suburbs, I was actually going the opposite way because I was working in the suburbs and living downtown, which was dumb. But like on my way back home from the suburbs, when I was going back to my apartment on the Gold Coast, I would get a large Dr. Pepper with no ice from McDonald's, and I would just I would just sip it on the
no ice to
expressway.
dilute the flavor.
No, and plus it's more drink. You know, some places will just fill up the cup with ice and
75% ice.
Yeah, give you a
couple
swallow
of drops
of soda.
We know what you're doing.
Yeah, but that's one of the few things I like about Sonic is that they have crushed ice, so they can still fill up the cup and give you a lot of ice at the same time because it's like it all blends together.
I gotta go. There's that one that's in like Uptown. That's like the only one in the city.
Yeah, for a long time, Sonic was showing commercials heavily in our area, but there were no Sonics around. Yeah. It's like, this is just torture. Then we finally got one out in, the first one I went to was in Country Club Hills by the theater out there. And then they built another one in over in Calumet City, which is closer to me.
What flavor, what flavors did you mix in your first drink? Did you have like a vanilla,
I don't think I ever really
chocolate?
got one of those like crazy combinations. I think I probably got like a strawberry drink or something because they had all those different flavors. But I usually just stick with whatever is red.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah, I'll stick with red. And if I want to,
good old tasty red. Yeah, that fruit.
If I want to venture out, I'll try blue.
A good old blue. I used to have a blue garden. I used to grow them.
All right. Because I think a lot of people, like, the hype was built so much around Sonic that I don't think it could have lived up to it. And when I tried my first Sonic food, I think I was still eating burgers when I first tried Sonic, and
their menu is pretty expensive.
Yeah, that's why you have
and expensive.
Yeah, that's why you have to stop at those little booths in order instead of just going to the drive-thru. You have to make them come to you because you have to take a minute to look at the entire menu. But like
chicken burgers, hot dogs, spaghetti.
They were serving breakfast all day before McDonald's was, so they had a big menu. Like when I was still eating burgers and I tried it, I thought it was pretty good, but like their chicken options are not anything to write home about.
I mean, people may not believe this, but you can screw up some chicken fingers, man.
Easily, even
the wrong like dough or whatever the skin.
Yeah, and you run into a problem when you're frying something that was previously frozen. When you have to make sure it gets cooked all the way.
Flour.
Flour and ice.
Did you bite into? You bite into like an icy, cold.
Yeah, it actually happened to me at IHOP. All the places where I thought they would make stuff semi-homemade. I had like fried chicken, like bone-in chicken from IHOP, and I took a bite and it was cold on the inside. I was like, well,
I hope you sent that fucker back.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, this is frozen right here. Like, if you could touch it, it's cold. And then they took it back and they brought me out some more chicken. And it was also cold. It was cold again. Yes, different piece of chicken. I think they fried a new piece, but it was still like cold in the middle, which means they were obviously in the in the habit of frying frozen chicken, which I don't understand how that even would work. You would have to give it extra time or try to thaw it beforehand. But yeah, so like after that, I was just like, fuck this. And I paid for what my wife had, which was not frozen, and she was fine with it. And I was like, no, don't give me anything else. I'm paying for this.
Call the corporate office and complain.
Yeah. I've never been one who was in the habit of like complaining about stuff, but I think I did complain about that situation.
Hey, Zach, are you excited for that big holiday where families get together around the end of November called Black Friday?
Yeah, exactly. Being a black person, Black Friday is very important to me.
Naturally.
Black Friday to me has always been more important than Thanksgiving. Like
blasphemy.
For me, it's been a weird thing because my mom, she cooks, but it's like not on the top list of things she does as a parent. Like she was one of those people that worked all the time, so she was big into cooking. Like so, when I would eat at my granddad's house or some other family member that would make a plate. So, like, the big thing we will focus on is getting out to the stores and getting in line early. Like, so that was one of the things that I remember from childhood. Is like, I knew about that day before, like, it was popular and it had a name. I just called it Discount Day. I was like, oh, it's Discount Day after Thanksgiving. And I know we would sit outside Best Buy and go get electronics.
I bring it up because there's a guy in Avondale, Arizona, who is already camped out for a Black Friday outside of a Best Buy. His name is Jarvis Johnson, 26 years old. He's all set and ready to go.
I never understood that, setting up outside of a place that's already open, so it's going to open and close several times before the date that you're actually waiting on. So couldn't someone just get in front of you with no guilt at all? It's like you're there, but who cares? It's not the time yet. Somebody could just push you out of the way at the last second and go into the store.
Throw a wrench in your whole plans. Yeah. He's been doing it since 2006. So
maybe he has a respect thing. He's like
he's been getting a name recognition for it, and now he's convinced sponsors to give him gear, give him crap.
So why do you have to wait in line then?
Because of the attention. Because he's the wait in line guy.
I'm sure there's probably an Apple guy like that. It just, I never recognize anybody from those man on the street things where they're like, oh, everybody's waiting for the new iPhone. I haven't seen anybody repeatedly in those, but I'm sure there's that guy who's there every time.
He got apparently there's some local businesses there that gave him a canopies for his tent. He has been Rent-A-Center lent him some couches, some other. He got a microwave and
that's crazy
tacos.
So and he's just legit tailgating at stores for Black Friday. That's interesting.
Yeah, maybe it's not so stupid after all.
I feel like Black Friday tailgating should catch on as a thing. It might happen in some areas, but I feel like that would get me more into it than just the prospect of deals, which you can get on Cyber Monday.
Yes, that's the one I'm waiting for, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. Why get up and go anywhere? Since I have not lived at home with my mom, I have never gone out on my own for Black Friday because I just feel like it's not worth it. Yeah,
and it's stressful.
Yeah, and there was one last Black Friday. It was probably a little bit after I was out of high school or something, or it might have been my senior year of high school. I went with my mom to Walmart
to people watch, or did you guys actually have intent on
she
buying
always
something?
has a list of things. She always gets the newspaper early. I think I can't remember if you get it on Thanksgiving, but she went and she would go and get whatever the paper was for that next day, and she would plan it out. It's okay, I'm getting this from here. I'm going to get this, and this from here. So this one they have less of, so we should go there first. So she would get in line with it, and so I guess Walmart had whatever the best deal. for what she wanted that day.
50-inch TV by some off-brand company.
Yeah,
probably break in like less than a year.
Yeah, so we went there, and it was like the worst experience I ever had.
Oh, I bet.
In a retail environment, and it was like wall-to-wall people.
They only have like 10 of the.
Yeah. But that's the thing. The problem is, like, okay, Black Friday is a trick. You should know this as retail shoppers.
It helps the economy.
It's a trick to get you in the store, and they have whatever
and you
limited.
End up buying other shit.
Yeah, they have this limited amount of stuff that are these doorbuster deals that they want you to come and look for. It's basically like Pokemon
15
Go.
Of the items in stock.
Exactly. It's basically like Pokemon Go when you see like the shadow, the silhouette of a Pikachu, and it's just like, oh, this is just to get you walking. It's not really there. So
that actually exists. They actually do stuff like that.
I think it's supposed to be there,
sneaky.
But the game was so glitchy that it's like you never could track the thing. It's like, oh, it says this is nearby in whatever direction. You don't know which way to go, north, south, east, or west. But
that's pretty clever. It's deceiving but clever.
I don't think that was their intent, but the glitches in the app made that the end result. But like they get you in the store and then you buy other stuff. So I was stuck there as probably like 17, 18-year-old dude in the store that was wall to wall. And I separated from my mom because I was like, okay, there's this one thing that I want to get. It's not on the side where you are. So I was a person walking, trying to get my item in a place that's wall to wall people and carts. And I was like, ended up, I don't
Trapped.
know. I was like in line with people with carts, but they were like sandwiched against each other. So it was like, had someone pushing a cart into my back. Ooh. And then it was like this line took forever, and it was one of those lines where it's like, I think we're in line for checkout, but I can't even see the checkout. We're like in the sporting goods section, and this is the line to check out. So I like got so pissed, I just climbed on top of people's carts and just walked across. It's just like, fuck it. So I just walked on top of people's merchandise and made my way to the door, and I was like, I'm not coming back in there. So my mom was like, I need you. Well, I can't, there's only one per customer, I need you to come back in. I was like, shit. It's like, god damn it. It was like, that was like, I thought this was our bonding time, but it was really because she needed to make another transaction. It's like, I need two people to check out. God damn it.
We were at the table eating and praying 24 hours ago.
Yeah. I was sitting on the couch with a paper plate on my lap, bonding yesterday, and now I'm climbing over people's carts, like wanting to punch people in pajamas in the face. That's the weirdest thing. Like, you see people in pajamas in the real world, I just feel like a person's giving
flip-flops and slippers. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm not looking forward to Black Friday. I barricade my door and I don't leave. It's basically like the zombie apocalypse localized in specific stores.
It's funny. Like I just thinking about that. I just was reminded of were you excited or indifferent when Nintendo announced the NES Classic? The little.
I was kind of indifferent because I wanted NES
it, and I still want it.
Yeah, I liked NES. I liked the old Super Mario, and I liked Duck Hunt. But outside of those, there were no games I really went back to for NES. I liked Super Nintendo more because that was like my prime time of playing games, like the more modern Super Mario Brothers, the Donkey Kong
Country.
Yeah, from there into like GameCube and Nintendo 64. Those were like my consoles that I remember more fondly.
Oh, the GameCube. You were so underrated.
I always loved the GameCube. I never liked the controller. I just thought it was useless.
No, me neither.
Plus, it had that little trigger in the middle, but I don't remember playing any games where that was like useful. Like, I guess if you're playing a shooting game,
now.
then
I'm actually looking at the controller right now. Like, so do you use the D-pad, like a regular controller? Or do you move your hand down and use the little joystick?
the little joystick in the middle is like, how would you hold that if you're using that joystick? It's like so awkward to hold. Yeah. That's why like my favorite controller, like of any system, is Xbox 360 controller. Like, it's the one that feels the best in my hand. I love the little chat pad. I
like it too. I'm looking at that one too.
Yeah, I just wish you could use that for every interface. Like, I wish I could use that to control my Fire TV, just to like as a universal remote, because it's great to just have actual letters you could type, like when you're searching stuff or whatever.
Yeah. So, I mentioned the NES Classic because, like, I figured that, hey, I'll buy this thing just for nostalgia's sake. I have a Nintendo, tattoo on my leg and everything.
Nintendude.
But the thing sold out immediately.
Of course.
Apparently, like, tricky Nintendo, they only like made like a small amount of they only made like a small amount of these things for like stores to keep in stock.
That's just like the trick for Black Friday. It's like you have a limited amount, so you can say we sold out. We had 10, but we sold out.
So these bastards, whoever did buy them, they're like flipping them and stuff on like eBay and like online for like hundreds and thousands. For like this $60 thing, and like, and I guess now this is like the most popular whatever holiday. They'll have more available, as we get closer to the holidays. But
that's such a weird thing that still hangs around, that they say like, oh, this is the hot gift for the holidays. But it's like, people are so, they have so much access to the internet, and people are so consumer focused that why do people wait for holidays for any of these things? Like, I get what I want when I want it, because like,
I was just gonna buy it just to play it immediately. I wasn't gonna wrap it and wait till Christmas.
Yeah, it's like Christmas is so like old school. It's like, who waits for anything nowadays? Like, this is about instant gratification. So Christmas is every day in Trump's America.
Lump of coal.
Yeah, a lump of orange coal in your stocking.
So what you're saying is that, like, with the Nintendo Classic, like, you wouldn't be excited about Castlevania or what was some of the other games, like Super C, Super Contra?
I have very, very narrow focus in game selections. Like, if it's not like Mario, then I didn't play it.
They have all three Marios.
Yeah,
you're Mario limited.
Yeah,
they had all three Marios. The first two Zeldas. They had like Techno Bowl football, which I didn't play that much. But
yeah, I never played any of those games. There was like Paperboy. The game
Metroid.
Sucked. Yeah, I never was into that stuff. The
Dr. Mario.
I played Dr. Mario a little bit because I went to a summer camp. That was like an extremely lazy summer camp when I was a kid. But they just like let kids play video games all day. So they had like they had different stations. There was the original NES. They had the Super Nintendo on the other side of the room. They had a Genesis, and I think they had a PlayStation, like the PlayStation 1.
No Neo Geo?
No. So yeah,
Virtual Boy?
Yeah, I think the most modern system was the PlayStation. But everybody was really, I think the focus for most of the part was on the Nintendo system. So when I played on there, I would play, sometimes I would play Dr. Mario or regular Mario, and I think they had Duck Hunt. And
that fucking dog.
Like, it always laugh at you, and I would just try to shoot the dog more than the ducks.
You couldn't shoot him.
Yeah.
Can you believe that, like, all these years, like, that Nintendo came out with like 85, and like it's still this popular, and there's still like this fervor to like buy this thing?
That's the thing, is that Nintendo, I feel like they did their own thing and never really fell into like the trends. Like, they started some trends that other companies picked up on, but then they never like veered too far off the path. It was like, okay, we have our content that we make, and we have our characters. We're gonna go all in on those characters. Like, there's still Mario games being made every year.
Zelda, like Pokemon.
Yeah, and And that's the thing for me is like since I'm so narrowly focused, like all I care about is Mario. Is like I've bought entire systems just to play one specific Mario game.
Wii U. That's why people bought the Wii U, just to play Mario Maker and Super Mario Kart 8.
Yeah, so it's like I'm looking for anybody out there if they have a Nintendo 3DS, they don't want anymore. I'm looking for one of those because I need to play Mario. I'm tired of playing all these Mario clones like Dan the Man on iOS, and these like
Dan the Man.
There's some elf game that's like a Mario ripoff. Yeah,
I'm waiting for them to mark down the Wii U because right now I think it's still like $250 or something like that. They've announced that they're gonna like they're gonna stop production on it soon.
Of course,
because of the Switch coming out. Yeah, so I'm gonna once it drops to like 100. I am too.
But I'm interested in the Switch, but I just feel like the interface is odd. Like I would find my one use scenario for it just like with the tablet and the little controllers, and that's probably all I would do. I wouldn't like.
You wouldn't play basketball like on the court and like you have a couple of guys take a break and to go play some
play a basketball video game while my friends play basketball 5 feet away from me. Like sure. It's
the basket,
very realistic.
The basketball hits the system and breaks it.
Yeah, it shatters in 1,000 pieces. It's like, oh well, I guess I have to play with this real ball for once. Yeah, so I've always been like very narrowly focused on Mario. Like I play Mario, I play Super Smash Brothers, and whatever wrestling game they would port to the Nintendo, which is like I don't think they've put any of the WWE games in the past like 3 generations of Nintendo console.
Were you a Paper Mario guy? I've never played any of the Paper Mario.
I've never played it. I was always interested in it because like it added a new dimension to the game. Like because I think you can go like behind stuff because he's a flat character. So
I got burned. But I got burned when I bought like one of the Yoshi games. I think it was like Yoshi's Story on like the 64. Like 18 years ago, and it was like a little kid's game. And that's what I feel.
That's the thing where it's like the Mario market got so saturated at one point. It's like, wait, is this a game or is this just like a port of something with Mario skin on top of it? Because like I remember I bought one Mario game and I was like so pissed off. Like, cause back then games just cost like $60 at one point.
It like Mario is Missing or Mario in Time?
It was, I can't remember the
Mario
name.
Tennis or
it was one of those games where it's like it was an RPG.
Educational.
Like
was it a Super Mario RPG for the SNES?
Yeah, I didn't know what
you didn't like that
I didn't know what RPG was at the time. Like you walk around and just talk to different characters. Like
I love that.
What the fuck is this shit?
Oh, you hate it.
I hate RPGs. Like I told you, I'm super narrowly focused as far as video games. I like platformers. You don't like collecting experience
points and like
no. I like platformers and I like wrestling games and I like some fighting games, but that's about it. I don't like shooters. I don't like RPGs. Like any game. I hate
RPG. I hate first person shooters. Yeah. I know that's unpopular to say, but
this my least favorite game ever. Like the only game I came close to like that's outside of the realm of like normal games that I play was like there's a mech game that was on like the original PlayStation where it's like you build robots and it was first person, but I think you could switch to third person where you'd be behind the character, but it's like you give it all these different weapons and you go out and fight other robots. Like I like that, like piecing together stuff and upgrading your weapons. But
did you ever play like SimCity and stuff where you like build a town and like all that?
I hate those games. Like really, if I can't just pick up the controller and move a character around the screen, then I'm not interested. Like I don't like games where you like manage things. Like there's like a manager mode in the WWE games where you can like, I think you can get feuds and build your roster. Like fuck that. Like I like games where you can move the. But that's like half the.
All these like sports games, there's like that's like half the time is like, oh, I gotta update my roster and trade this guy.
Yeah,
and like,
screw that. Like the most time I'll spend on a game that is not just actually playing or using the character to fight is like creating my character in WWE games. Like I'll spend a lot of time on that. Like I get skin tone exactly right. I have a picture of myself, and I'm like, okay, I got to make it look just like me. Give him the goatee, and give him the short haircut or whatever. Yeah, I make sure the glasses are the right style. Like, okay, yeah, I would wear those.
Frame.
Yeah, then I go meticulously through the moveset. It's like, okay, my 2 moves that I know I would do as a wrestler is like, okay, he's got to do
your taunt.
Yeah, he's got to do the top rope leg drop. It's my favorite move, and the power bomb. I love a good power bomb, and I love a good leg drop. So I got to make sure my character has those, and then I'll spend a lot of time with all those little in between things like that. But like playing a manager of a sports team sounds like work, and
yes,
like I would never do that for fun.
I can't believe like Mario's missing. I got that I asked for that for Christmas. Like
Mario's missing. I don't even know that game.
It's like an educational thing. It's like your
It's like where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Pretty much, because it's like you're playing as like Luigi because Mario has been kidnapped by King Koopa, and you have to go to these different cities, like actual cities in the world, and
that's exactly like Carmen Sandiego.
Exactly, and you have to like answer these. You have to answer these like geography questions and like collect items to like. Yeah, exactly.
You were
exactly.
tricked. That got was burned. A straight up trick.
And like you mentioned, this is back during the days when those cartridges were like $50+ $50 to $60.
I don't even understand why they still cost around that same amount. Like,
I don't know.
Buy a game for like $40, $50 bucks. It's like they spit them out for pennies. There's software on a disc when you could really just download the software.
It's a scam, man. It's a scam.
Yeah, it's like, okay, apps cost this much. CDs cost this much. Why do games, which are basically a combination of both, cost more than both combined? It's like games should be like $10, $15.
They have to pay those poor child labor slaves something. Zach.
I mean, what do? They just push a button on this machine and it stamps out a CD? I don't understand what.
No, they have to put them together, like individually, like these screw on like the chips and like the other. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't know.
Clearly,
I that's why I've always been I've been all about eBay since it came out. Like everything used is good for me. Like my brother would when I was younger. My brother's 13 years older than me, so he would always buy the new stuff when it came out. He would have the new system,
hot off the press.
But that's the weird thing is that my brother was so greedy with his games. Like he would buy all the new stuff. He would have the newest system. He had an Xbox and a PlayStation. He wouldn't
let you touch his shit.
Yeah, he had his room upstairs, but I could never go play with him. Plus, if I wanted to play, I would have to play like his games, and he would play like Madden and NBA 2K all day. Like he would like. One day he would just be playing Madden and he'd be like, "Whoa!" and yelling, like
screaming.
Yeah,
and that's funny, man, because my brother's like 10 years older than me, and it was a little bit of a situation like that. Like he would have like Ken Griffey Jr. baseball for like the Super Nintendo.
I'm sure my brother had that at some point.
And he would play that, and then like he would keep it with because it's like the SNES was everyone's. It was the family console, but he would have like those games that he would keep to himself.
Yeah, because that was the thing. My brother would have his like Xbox and PlayStation upstairs, and I wouldn't ever get to play. Like every now and then, he would let me play like Tekken with him, and he would beat the shit out of me, and I would be mad.
Taking it all seriously.
I'd be mad, and then he would go back to playing his sports games, and I would go downstairs and play my Nintendo, whatever Nintendo system I had at the time.
Sports shit.
Yeah, so I never got into any of that stuff. Probably as a reaction to that, it's like I had a negative feeling about sports games. It's like that's what my brother plays, and he didn't let me join in. So, like, I've never been into any sports generally, probably based on that.
Not even like a Mario Golf or a Mario Tennis or any of or like the Mario Sonic Olympics or whatever the hell it is they come out with every Olympic.
The only thing I played with like the characters combined, there was those Mario Party games. I think I played one a little bit, but they were always like
Mario Kart is kind of like a sport.
Yeah, I played that when I was at summer camp. I was never into playing that on my own. It's more like a 2 to 3 player game. It's like it's a party game. But for me, it was always like Mario and like Super Smash Brothers. That's probably like even above Mario. Like that's my favorite Nintendo property. Super Smash Brothers.
I have Super Smash Brothers Melee for the GameCube. Okay. That's the only one I have, and I like that game. It's a pretty fun game.
Yeah, I rebought the GameCube because I can't remember what the hell happened to my old GameCube, but I rebought one from eBay, and I need to replace my Super Smash Brothers because I missed that game. I would play that for hours and hours.
I have a story that I must share with you before we leave.
All right.
It's a very painful story. A man who was too shy to approach the doctor about blood in his urine got a chopstick stuck in his penis trying to identify the problem. I will now...
yeah, because that's what you do.
Yes, let's delve deeper. The man named Chen, this happened, I believe this happened overseas,
all right.
had rammed the 7-inch stainless steel chopstick so far into his genitals.
Well, I guess would have been worse because
splinters. Splinters, make it even more painful. He got it so far in his genitals that he couldn't remove it. Apparently, the patient told doctors he believed his urethra was broken, so he had to use the chopsticks to
straighten it
to
out.
Investigate. Yes.
You leave that to professionals. Yeah. Jesus.
The doctors said that he could have killed himself if he inserted it any further. So, there's that.
You don't mess with your pee hole, guys. It's
no.
Public service announcement. Leave your pee hole alone.
The chopstick was successfully removed, and the patient who is from Hangzhou in China is recovering in a hospital. It is not known if he has suffered any long-term damage. So. Let this be a lesson to all of you guys out there. Don't stick any chopsticks up there.
That's the problem is that when Obamacare is taken away, you're going to see more incidents of this in America.
Of this caliber.
Yeah, scope. Self-surgery, and it's going to become a big thing in Trump's America.
You think people are going to be damaging their genitals in Trump's America out of frustration and...
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that could be a form of protest because, you have the monks in Tibet who light themselves on fire as a form of protest. I guess, like, mutilating your genitals could be a
Women are going to be grabbing their own pussies. They're going to be...
I mean, I think there's a long tradition of that behind closed doors, but maybe it's a public protest that could become a thing. Like, what's the equivalent of burning your bra in protest to Trump? I guess just... You can burn a toy cat in effigy.
Oh, the toy cat.
Try grabbing these pussies and throw them in the fire. I don't know. There's all kinds of protests that are happening now that will continue to happen.
We have to express ourselves
as time goes by. Yeah, we have to express ourselves in a way that doesn't make a difference.
How do you feel like the protests and stuff that happened? We're doing this on Sunday, and there were a whole bunch that happened on Saturday. In major cities, like, do you think it's changing anything? Do you think it's useless? Or
in theory, I support protests because it's a way for people to get their voices heard and to call attention to certain issues.
What's gonna happen? Basically, there's a whole bunch of people block traffic, and then they go home, and then he's still the president.
Yeah, it's basically the equivalent of like pestering somebody on Twitter to be. Like, can I get a retweet? Can I get a retweet? Can I get a retweet? And then the person's like, yes, I see you. I am acknowledging you. I have retweeted.
Not my president.
Yeah, it's like, okay, they see you, but that's about it. They've noticed that you're doing this thing, but it's not really going to change anything. And a couple
of my friends went there.
I guess that's a noble thing to do. But for me, like, if I have to travel and I have to go downtown, like, cut me some slack.
Nah.
Let me through. Like, you're disrupting the flow of traffic, and I think there's people who also support your cause who
that have to get home and go grocery shopping.
Yeah. So it's a tricky thing. There needs to be, like, there's Donald Trump is about like improving our roads and different things with infrastructure. Okay, here's
roads.
Here's some things here's some things you need to focus on. You need to somehow establish a system of roads that are specifically for trucks, so that the traffic flows.
Bikes.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, like some kind of roads that are specifically for like semi trucks, so that the flow of traffic on the interstate goes smoother. And you need to have some kind of like designated protest roads. Like
protest lane.
Yeah, there's like the bike lane, the regular lanes, and then there's the protest lane. And so just have those people sectioned off. Although I guess that's anti-constitution, so maybe we can't really do that. Freedom of assembly, and I don't think.
Oh yeah, because Trump would never violate anyone's constitutional rights. You know, he's all about the Constitution.
Damn right.
I still can't believe you don't like Super Mario RPG.
It
has a cult following.
Yeah, and I was always taught that joining cults is a bad thing.
You would be correct. You were never into like Final Fantasy either, because that game gets compared to it a little bit. Because I think like the same people who made Final Fantasy helped with that.
Final Fantasy has never appealed to me. Like, it's pretty, but I don't understand like what
the music's nice.
What is the game even?
It's like like dragons and swords, and it's like it's an RPG, experience points.
But like, can you like pick up the controller and control the character and just like have them run around and jump on top of a dragon and start flying and control the movement of that dragon?
I can't believe I've never played a Final Fantasy game. I love Zelda, but I mean Zelda's completely different than that. At least you get to yeah,
you can run around and fight
kill
people and do stuff like that. I never played Zelda too much. The most I would deal with Zelda was using him in Smash Brothers. Very.
And you call yourself a gamer?
I don't call myself a gamer. I call myself a person who likes Mario games and clones of Mario games.
A frustrated grad.
Yeah, the most diverse group of games that I've had have been like my iOS games. So like most people wouldn't call somebody who games on an iPad a gamer. So I don't consider myself a gamer either, because like even playing little free to play like microtransaction type games like Marvel Contest of Champions, even that gets a little intense for me, because they have alliances, and then you can do these like campaigns where it's like, okay, everybody team up to do this one thing, and it's like, hey, I have a job. I'm not paying attention to this this one group that I'm in. They wanted me to download this different
purchase this
chat app. Well, no, it's just a different app so they can chat and plan out campaigns. It's like,
I am a hermit. I do not want to interact.
Yeah, it's like I like picking up this game and playing and getting new characters so I can have like all the different Marvel characters. But it's like when it comes down to a thing where like, okay, you do this and he does this, and then you make sure you're in this position. It's like, it sounds like work. And they made me an officer, then they made me the leader of the alliance. Like, I don't want this. Give me a demotion. I just want to play the game. I don't
want this responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, you have to kick this person off the game. They haven't logged in 2 days. It's like, I don't give a shit. It's like, you do it. You're the boss now. But yeah, so I'm not a gamer. Sorry. Spoiler alert, I'm not a gamer.
Yeah. No Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this week because of the elections. So
yeah, I'm so behind. I'm so behind that they didn't even register to me. I'm still catching up on previous episodes. So, like, and the biggest problem with what has put me behind in all these shows is that on the CW there are 4 superhero shows that you have to watch every week.
I gave up on The Flash, by the way.
At least on a regular shows basis. To give up on, you gave up on The Flash?
Because it's like that whole the way he like changed time and like prevent his mom from dying, and now Kid Flash, and everyone's a speedster, and this person's alive again. And
this is the lower end of Flash seasons, obviously. But like, so
am I missing something?
So are you watching Arrow, Supergirl, and Legends of Tomorrow, and not The Flash?
I'm like checking in. Like I'm not watching like on a week by week basis. I know like what's happening on each. I know that like on Supergirl, like Superman was there for an episode or two, and like they're in like a different headquarters now because they shoot the show in Vancouver, not in LA now, so they have to like
that was stupid
the production budget
they make because they were like, hey, this office has always been here. It's like, really?
Didn't you know? We always had
like such bullshit.
Oh, come on. That's what made me not want to watch it.
It's dumb, and like somehow they're gonna shoehorn in the fact that they're able to collaborate with each other even though she's in a different universe. So I'm interested in that. Like, is she just gonna abandon everybody in her universe and come to theirs, or is like there gonna be some like Crisis on Infinite Earths where it all gets smashed together? But it just seems like overly complicated. The biggest chore for me has been watching Legends of Tomorrow because I hated that show the first season, and I'm just like plowing through it. I'm just trying to plow through it one at a time to catch up because I know they're having a crossover with all 4 shows. So it's like, okay, I want to be up to date, but it's work at this point. And as much as people complain about the Marvel universe and how much homework you have to do with that, like DC is oversaturated on television. They have too much going on because even like if you include Gotham, and there's a lot of stuff to keep up with. But yeah, that stuff is starting to feel like homework, and that's why I'm way behind.
On Arrow, like I know that like whatever the Flash did to time, like it affected the other shows. Like on Arrow, what got affected from with the Flash?
Now that was interesting, and that's one of the things that keeps me interested in Arrow now because Arrow last season
who's alive again? And who's dead.
Yeah, so that was interesting. So I think so far what I'm noticing, and I'm surprised that they actually followed through with it, because I don't see the division. Because like if you just watch Arrows, like wait, something changed, and then it's like they don't explain it on Arrow. You have to watch the Flash to see it. But the most recent one I watched, it was like, okay, now Diggle, the black dude on the show, he has a son now instead of a daughter. It just switched. I think the guy who played Killshot from the Suicide Squad, not
Deadshot.
Deadshot, not Will Smith, but the TV version of Deadshot. He's alive again, and the way they explain it on the show is that there was some incident. I think like a building was falling on him, and in the show it was played out as he was dead. But I guess in this flashpoint change in reality, they're just saying that same incident happened, but he survived it. So I guess they could still kind of play with that being the same reality. So those are the main differences I noticed. Diggle's son switched and Deadshot is still alive. It's funny, both things only relate to Diggle because he's like, spoiler alert, he's in some situation where he's locked up and he's sharing a cell with Deadshot. So the only changes seem to affect Diggle. I don't know if anybody else has any kind of repercussions from it. I mean, Oliver has a son in the other timeline. I'm wondering if that son is still alive or if he's had a gender swap as well. But it'd be interesting to see going forward.
Diggleberries.
The Diggleberry doesn't fall far from the tree.
No, it does not.
But yeah, I'm working my way through it. Like on weekends like this is when I try to catch up with these shows.
Distraction.
It's still hard. Like recently, I just finally finished American Horror Story Hotel, which took like forever because Lady Gaga is terrible and the entire show is written around her.
Why do you do this to yourself?
Like I've never really liked any season of American Horror Story, but I keep watching it.
It's like a train wreck you can't turn away.
It's not even that. It's like I just don't like to stop things that I've started. Like
you're a completionist. I get you.
I guess.
I get you.
Yeah. But yeah, like from episode 1 to episode 13, every episode of American Horror Story Hotel was terrible. But I just wanted to watch that because they did the whole thing. It was like, oh, they're all connected. So it's like, oh, shit, now I have to watch all of them. Because I wanted to watch the current one because there was like, oh, what is this theme going to be? We did the murder house. We did the asylum. We did witches. What is it going to be? And then what the result is that this current season is supposed to be like a spoof of a true crime show. Like, they're all actors, but they have the actors that are playing the real people doing an interview, and then you have people like Sarah Paulson and Cuba Gooding playing the reenactors.
So Sarah Paulson and Cuba Gooding Jr. They're playing themselves, playing other.
No, they're all playing different characters than themselves, but like, you know how they use the same cast every season on a
rotating company of actors.
So there's some black guy. He hasn't been on the show before, from what I remember. And there's this chick who played one of the nurses in the asylum season previously. So those two are playing real people talking to like a true crime show, like Dateline or something. Like, this is what happened to me.
I'm up to speed.
Yeah, and then Sarah Paulson and Cuba Gooding are playing them in a reenactment. So it's like so stupid because like, I mean, they should have picked two actors as the real people who we haven't seen before, but they picked the one chick who was like the demonic nun from Asylum is one of the real people, so that's distracting. I can kind of deal with it with the black guy who's being played by Cooper. It's like, okay, at least these aren't two recognizable people playing each other. So it's like a weird rip-off of true crime shows mixed with the Blair Witch Project, because it's basically everything they're doing is Blair Witch Project. Like, they bought it. Spoilers, if you want to listen to this, listen to it. If you don't, you don't. But I've only watched the first 2 episodes of this season. But Sarah Paulson and Cuba Gooding have bought this house in the middle of nowhere because it was like $4,000, and then these rednecks lost to them in an auction.
Mountain people.
Yeah, there's like, yeah, they're mountain people, and they lost to them in the auction, and then they're like, they think they're being fucked with by these mountain people, and they see like these like stick figures in the woods, like Blair Witch stick figures, and then there's like a burning cross with a pig's head on top of it. And they're seeing like all these like crazy images, and they start seeing ghosts and stuff. But it's like majority of the stuff they're doing is Blair Witch, because you see the same stick figures as Blair Witch. The girl gets lost in the woods, and they just spend like 5 minutes screaming. I can't remember what the girl's name was, but all it made me think of was the Blair Witch Project, where it's just like minutes on top of minutes of them screaming, Josh! Josh! So it's that whole thing, and then they get lost in the woods and can't find their way out at a certain point, but then they magically do. And grainy handycam footage of somebody walking around the house and then getting attacked. It was like, it's all Blair Witch stuff. So
wow. So what you're saying is that I'm not missing much.
You're not. If you want it, basically at this point it's a comedy to me, because it's like they're doing all the things, like the things that make you scream at the screen if you were in a black movie theater during a horror movie. Naturally. It's like they're doing all those things purposely. Like there was the black character. She was played by, the real version of her is played by the person who was Tara's mom on True Blood.
I know you're talking about.
And the reenactor version is played by Angela Bassett. So, like, that character brings her, like, she's supposed to be the sister of Cuba, and she comes to, like, help out because, like, oh, my wife's seen crazy stuff, and I have to mysteriously go away for business. So you stay here with my wife because you're going to help her defend herself. So she is there, and she starts seeing crazy stuff. She leaves. For some reason, brings back her daughter to this fucking crazy haunted house. Like, okay, why? Why does this happen? And then the daughter, surprise, daughter goes missing.
Oh, didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
This reminds me that I didn't see Ash versus Evil Dead last night, and I'm looking forward
I have to catch up. I'm way behind on that. The only things I'm like current on nowadays are like Walking Dead. Usually I stay current on Gotham, but I think I'm a couple episodes behind now. And Westworld. Westworld, I like watch every episode. That show is great. Have you checked that out at all?
I saw the most recent episode.
Okay, I love Westworld. It's funny, there was a video, I think it was done by Cracked or one of those channels on YouTube, where they basically just say like, Westworld is Jurassic Park, and they just go through each beat. It's like it's exactly Jurassic Park. It's just with,
and I have no complaints.
Yeah, so I love Westworld, and I love the idea that they're on 2 different timelines. Have you seen that theory?
Yeah. They're already doing like the whole Lost thing, like trying to pick it apart and like coming up with these theories. Like, just enjoy the fucking show.
Sometimes that stuff is fun. Like when I listen to people speculate about it on certain podcasts, it's fun. But some people like get too far into it and they'll like break down scenes and like, okay, look at this right here. If you see in the background, there's a number. That's the same numbers from the
this means
Fibonacci sequence. Or like, I don't care.
I don't think they're that clever. But
Yeah, and those are like the only things I'm staying current on, really.
Naked Thandie Newton.
Yeah, it's always weird just to see like when they do maintenance on the hosts of the robots, they just strip them down and interview them naked. It's like I guess it's like a power thing. It's like you're naked, you can't escape. So if you see anybody running around naked, you assume they're a host and you recapture them. But it kind of makes me think of New Jack City. They had to
the drug,
cocaine. Like you can't
look at Chris Rock.
anything.
You get the titties hanging out.
Yeah,
everything just hanging out.
It's like, well, you could technically hide stuff, but you have to be pretty quick about it. But anyway,
New Jack City. I'm just thinking about like Ice-T trying to chase Chris Rock on a bike through New York.
Yeah, maybe I'll go back and check that out now that I'm thinking about New Jack City.
Sit your $5 ass down before I make change.
Yeah, so I feel like this podcast has helped me not think about some terrible things I've been thinking about. This was
therapeutic. This was therapeutic. It was needed.
And I feel like,
better now.
Yeah, I feel like to close out, I'm going to do something that we did on the Frustrated Wrestling Fan, but I feel like the entire country needs one of these. So here we go. Oh, America! Don't you dare be sour. Clap for yourselves. Clap for your democracy. And clap for the future. And feel the power. Thanks for listening to the Frustrated Grad podcast.
430 day or whatever.
Yeah, the new day is up there. They're close to the record.
And they're Scottish kilts.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about that.
No, maybe some bonus footage after the end of the episode. But give out your social media deets for people to tweet at you.
You can find me at Anthony Hoffman on Twitter and Facebook, and at Tony Hoffman Chai, CHI on Instagram.
All right. I'm on Twitter at Zac from Chicago. That's ZAC from Chicago. You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/Zac Hughes. That's ZAC Hughes. Yeah, I'm also on Facebook at Zac Hughes if you want to check me out there. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Frustrated Grad, on YouTube at youtube.com/FrustratedGrads. And you can check out the audio version of this podcast on frustratedgrad.com, as well as Google Play Podcasts and iTunes. So that's all I have for this episode of
I have to give.
Yeah. That's all we have for this episode of the Frustrated Grad podcast. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for listening. And that's all you get for today. All right, I guess this can be some bonus footage if anybody wants to listen. Oh, I didn't think about the what is the title of this podcast going to be?
Well, we have to make a reference to the election.
Yeah. Also, I guess we give a hashtag for people who are still listening to this. So, like, it's a combination of things we talked about. It's obviously election heavy.
Chappelle, video games, penis chopsticks, Nutella burgers,
Trumptella. I'm trying to think. So something election or Trump worthy. Trump's America.
Not my president.
Hashtag not my president. Not a bad one. I mean, it really colors the episode in a negative light that we didn't necessarily dwell in the entire time.
What are the name of like some of the characters that Chappelle.
There's Clayton Bigsby. I don't even know the name of the player.
What was the character that the white supremacist blind one?
That's Clayton Bigsby.
Clayton Bigsby's America.
It's not a bad one. Clayton Bigsby's America. Like, if you're like, who's Clayton Bigsby? I mean, most people should know who he is. Even still, I wouldn't mind that title. Trying to think what else could it be related to the Chappelle character. Tyrone Biggins America, because he had that motivational speech at the end of the thing. I forgot I wanted to talk a little bit more about that, but that was fun.
That head.
I'm every man, I'm every woman, it's all in me. Anything you want done, baby, I'm doing it. It's like Shaka Khan references. Great.
The voice of reason, the headless voice.
Yeah, the headless voice of reason. I mean, we've been listening to talking heads all this time during the election cycle, so why not a severed talking head? Negan, instead of Negan.
Electoral College dropout.
It's not bad. Frustrated Electoral College grad. I don't know. It's a little bit long. Electoral College dropouts. It's not bad. It's not a bad album title, too. The Kanye West follow up. Make America Chappelle again.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, because I want something to symbolize, like, come back.
Make America Ashy again.
Make America Ashy again. That's funny. I feel like I could get Donnell Rawlings to retweet that. Make America Ashy, yeah.
That makes me
sounds derogatory. I
like that.
That's a good one, though. Hashtag. So if you're listening to this, I might have to cut this part a little bit, too. But if you're listening to this, and you've listened to the end, clearly, tweet at Frustrated Grad with the hashtag Make America Ashy again. That's hilarious. So
because it has multiple meanings for like
yeah,
black and like the character.
Yeah, I really like that one.